Before I move on to the finishing works, I need you to understand how to create activity codes so we can modify the activity codes for better understanding. For example, if we look upon this activity that is written as con PF1930. Now the activity ID should be named such that it makes it understandable. Now the con represents the construction WBS, that is the WBS in which we are currently standing, and the PF represents the plumbing and the firefighting works. So this is how you name an activity code such that you can understand in which WBS you are standing. For example, if I go to the HVAC works, that is con HV1990. Now con is the construction WBS in which we are currently standing and within which we are dealing with the heating and ventilation works, that is HV. Similar methodology has been used for the con EL, that is the construction electrical works, and then we have the construction SL, that is the screed works. So this is how it works. So now we are moving on to the finishing WBS. So let's see the finishing phase. Now the finishing phase will include the installation of the partition walls, the paint works, the flooring works, and the basement car parking patterns. In this particular case, we are dealing with the basement 2 and basement 1, which is solely designated for the car parking. So here the number of finishing items will be less. The installation of the partition walls, that is the first activity under the finishing phase, is connected to the contract awards of the finishing works, the completion of the block work in basement 2, the completion of the plaster works in basement 2, and the completion of the screed works in basement 2. So here you can see that the activity starts on 19th November 2022. Then we have the paintworks. Paintworks can only be initiated once the LV panels have been installed, once the duct installation has been completed, and once the sprinklers have been installed. Then there are the flooring works, and finally we'll move on to the basement car parking patterns installation. Same procedure will be followed for the basement 1. In the lower ground floor, we will have ceiling because we are now entering the offices, and there is the kitchen area, the dining area, so on and so forth. The ceiling can only be installed once the LV panels have been installed, once the wiring and cabling in conduits and cable trays has been completed, once the duct insulation has been completed, once we have the sprinklers installed, once we have flooring completed, and we have the plasterworks and the screed works also completed. Then we will move on to the paint works, flooring works, aluminium and glass works, woodworks, so on and so forth. Same pattern has been followed for all the activities in the ground floor and the mezzanine floor, so on and so forth. So here we will be completing the finishing activities by 23rd May 2024, and then we have the WPS of the external facade works. The external facade of the said building will have the GFRC panels, that is the glass reinforced panels with the red bricks on the curved surface of the windows. So here we have the activity of the GFRC installation, the windows installation, and the red bricks that will be installed at the border of the windows. So we will be starting the glass reinforced panels installation once we have completed the external plaster works of the front side, rear side, right side, and the left side on 15th April 2023, and we will be completing the external facade works in a span of 105 days. Then we have the landscape works. The landscape works include the leveling and the compaction phase, the tough tiles installation, the fountain system installation, and the greenscaping. And we will be completing the landscape works by 3rd January 2024. Then we will move on to the testing and commissioning phase, the testing and commissioning of the HVAC system. Now here you can see that the testing and commissioning of HVAC system is connected to the connection of the AHU of each floor. AHU, or the air handling unit, is an equipment that is placed on each floor that basically regulates the flow of the air and the chilled water in the chilled pipes that provides cooling in the said floor. And all of these AHUs are connected to the chiller at the top of the roof. Then we have the testing and commissioning of the plumbing and the firefighting system. Then we have the testing and commissioning of the electrical system, and finally we will move on to the project handover. The project handover is connected with the testing and commissioning of all these set activities, and it is further connected to the project completion and handing over, that is basically a finishing milestone. So this is how you create a certain project. We will schedule the project here by clicking uh, this option. And the project start date, as I mentioned earlier, is 1st January 2021, and we will be completing the whole project on in a span of 1076 days on 17th June 2023. So here this is how you schedule a particular project, and here you can see the graphical timeline of the set project. So here you can see this, and in the WBS you can see the overall uh, timeline in a much more elaborate manner. So here you can see that the engineering phase, that is the engineering phase will start on 1st January 2021 and be completed by 9th November 2021. It will include the architectural concept design here. Then we have the structural concept, the structural design. Then we have the interior design, and we have the MEP design. The MEP design can further be broken down, as I mentioned earlier, in electrical and ELV design, HVAC design, and plumbing design. So here is the engineering phase. Then we move on to the tendering and contract award, the tendering and contract award of the grey works, the tendering and contract award of the MEP works, and the tendering and contract award for the finishing works, that will be awarded at a later stage of the project. Then we have the construction phase. The construction phase will have the excavation works, the structural works that include the substructural works and the superstructural works, the architectural and the facade works, the MEP works, the finishing works, the external facade works, the landscape works, and finally we will have the testing and commissioning phase. So this is how the project overall looks like. And to see that any error that may have occurred during the creation of this particular project, we can go into this option, that is the view log. And here you can see that the scheduling has been carried out, obviously, and there are no multiple flow paths, and the number of activities are 586, and the number of relationships are 917. And the activities without predecessor is 1, that is the start milestone. As I mentioned earlier, the start milestone does not has any predecessor, whereas the finish milestone does not has any successor. So all these activities are finish milestone here, as mentioned earlier. There is no out of sequence activities, there is no milestone activities with invalid relationship, there is no activities with actual dates greater than target date. So this means that there are no major errors, and a total of 146 critical activities are present. 146 critical activities out of a total of 586 total activities. That is approximately 15% of the activities are in critical phase. So all these activities are in critical phase, and these are driving the the completion date of the project. A critical activity is that activity which has no float. So these activities have to be completed within the given timeline, so that there is no effect on the overall completion date of the project. There is no activity with unsatisfied constraint, there is no activity with the unsatisfied relationship, and there are no activities with external dates. So overall the project is completed without any error. So this is the overall methodology of how to create a schedule of the project on Oracle Primavera P6 version 2021. We can in the next phase we will carry out the updating and the updating of the project, and for that matter we can use the option of the maintain baseline. For example, if we have to maintain the baseline on the same project, then we will add the same copy as a new baseline. So here you can see that we have created this baseline, and then we will assign this baseline. Yeah, then we will assign this. Now the set schedule has its baseline assigned, and we can show the assigned baseline by going here, going into the bar chart, and then we will select the primary baseline option and checklist it and apply. So here you can see that there is a yellow mark below each activity, and this shows that the set activity is basically a baseline activity and represents the actual amount of time that is available for the completion of the set activity. And the green color represents that the set activity is not critical, but is to be completed. The red activity is basically a critical activity that has to be completed within this duration, within the same time constraint. Otherwise it will affect the overall progress of the project. So let's remove the baseline for the time being. So this is the overall creation of the schedule of the project. And with this I would like to conclude my video. Thank you.